T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, own it, own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. My name is TK Trinidad. Welcome to WWT Live. Look, if we could ever, I've always got the question, like, why don't you have like a show like about your opinion? I would be canceled. And that's why we're late. So we can get into this wrestling stuff, however, and I'm not alone. We have the Mr. Professor in the building.
Can we not start a show by saying if we were having a conversation, we would get canceled? Yikes.
We would. Well, let me not put it on you.
No.
I would, because it's kind of like, and I feel like everybody has this. Like, let me know if I'm wrong. It's kind of like, who he was on the shop, Tom Brady. Tom Brady said this, and I really related to it. He said, like, the stuff that he says, just like in general, and then especially when he's in the media, it goes through several filters before it gets to what you say. He's like, he really respects, because there's another athlete on the shop as well. He really respects the people that can just say whatever's on their mind. Like, hey, I don't care, just let the bombs fly. And I like so resonated with that statement, because I'm not that person that will, like, I'm not the person who will cuss you off. Like, like, I'm not that person. So it's funny that all the things that are going in my mind when I see things or I hear things, like, I'm like, this would be, well, I would also be canceled.
And the reason for that is because you understand what's at stake. You understand that, you know, in the world that we live in, we don't get the opportunity to recoup as fast as others who can just flippantly say what they would like. And so, but
it's not a media thing. I've always, like, since I was a child, I've always been like this.
And here's why it's not a media thing. We also understand that the things that we say lead places, and they open doors or potentially close doors. So we can't ever afford to get caught out there. Other people, it's a different world. And even as I say that, I censor myself. So this is what I'm saying. We are built in with this because we understand the nature of our careers and things of that nature. So,
well, speaking of, you know,
now here's one.
Other folks
who
has mastered the craft. For sure.
Watch this. Oh boy. This.
Yeah.
This right here.
Oh man, I mean, it's Friday. Listen, sorry for our tardiness. If you guys really want to know why we were late, I mean, we just can't tease them and not tell them. The situation was, we were on this website researching for show prep to see what was going on with Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. And we wanted to see what the Bringer Brothers was about. Oh, Bringer Brothers, let's type this in. And we typed it in. I had to subscribe. Do you know what I used to subscribe to this Bringer Brothers website? Of what I thought it was.
The irony
Bringer Brothers
of you using this.
I used my WWE Superstar credit card, and I went to this Banger Brothers, Bang Bro, whatever website. I didn't see a single wrestling move on this Bang Bros website, whatever. There wasn't a single wrestling move. However, I did see a lot of power driving. There was a lot of power driving going on.
So question about that. Is it the other website? Is it like black dudes or is it white dudes? Does anybody know the answer to this question? Or is it dudes? Or is it like
from the research that we did earlier that we're speaking about, it's bros. It's like, hey bro, you want to like jump on my bus?
Okay.
Allegedly.
Well, this is the start of the first story, apparently.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It is.
We're literally going
up
rope. There we go. Right off the top rope. So for those who have no clue what we're talking about, at the top of the year, the WWE had Sheamus and Drew McIntyre come together as a team. And, you know, Sheamus and his whole crew had been, you know, they had this whole saying that says they have banger after banger after banger, you know, talking about having great matches. And so Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, former enemies, now friends, had come together, and WWE had been calling them the Banger Bros. Seems to have made sense on brand with that whole thing. Apparently, they didn't do their research. Apparently, there is an adult entertainment company called Bang Bros. This company, ironically, they're not new. They've been around since 2000. And apparently they gained fame with their Bang Bus videos. I don't know what that is, but somebody somewhere, I'm sure, will educate me on that. Now, apparently, this is not the first time that WWE has had to change a name due to its ties to adult entertainment. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but back in 2015, there was a team that eventually was called PCB. That'd be Paige, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch. Their original name was the Submission Sorority. Apparently, after several Google searches, that name directed folks to porn video links for a series called Haze Her. Ironically, that was owned by Bang Bros. I can't make this stuff up, right? So apparently,
funny thing, I just Googled Bang Bus. And Bang Bus is the site that started all. So apparently it looks like the Bang Bros started in a white van that went through the streets of Miami looking for hot girls. And that's how Bang Bros, the site, started. So there we go.
There we go. So apparently it was good for Bang Bros and Haze Her back then because that name, Submission Sorority, drove their traffic up 56% overnight, and they saw a 35% rise in subscriptions after WWE used the name. And so if Kane is any indicator, perhaps they've got even greater subscriptions now with the name of Banger Bros. So if anybody's curious, the name that they're going to go to for Drew McIntyre and Sheamus is Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. That's it.
I love it.
Can't make
that up. Yeah, that's a very sad name. Sheamus and Drew, SAD. See what I did there? From what I've seen, the Bang Bus is what you take when there are no longer tickets to ride the Strowman Express. So you just take the Bang Bus whenever the Strowman Express is not available. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know.
Well, there's a question. Is Royal Rumble going to start in a few hours or tomorrow? I'm assuming it's starting tomorrow.
The Royal Rumble is, it is about 28 hours from now. So yes, it will be, or no, not 28, 26. Sorry, about 26 hours from now. So there we go.
One click and boom, Bang Bros on my forehead. That's
wow.
Usually.
Wow. We're all just
I don't know what's happening right now. This is how we're
next story
starting. Well, let's start from that, moving from that to a pleasant comeback. As last night, the artist formerly known as Victoria, in Impact Wrestling, she's known as Tara, she made a surprise return to the ring on last night's episode of Impact as she teamed with Giselle Shaw in a match for the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championships, where they fought the Death Dolls, and that version was Jessica and Taya Valkyrie. So Giselle Shaw fought most of the match, refused to tag in Tara, and when she finally did, Tara put the business down on Giselle Shaw, left Giselle Shaw laying, and the Death Dolls retained the championship. Now, this all happened, of course, in the ATL. It was taped a couple of weeks ago, and it was done the night after the big pay-per-view Hard to Kill, where, of course, Tara, aka Victoria, was there to support Mickie James. So it was pretty cool to see her back in the ring doing her thing. And what was really cool to me was, I don't know if the Death Dolls actually knew she'd be the mystery partner, because when they came out, they were legit like, oh my God, in serious fangirl mode, which I just thought that was awesome to see, that there's still that high level of respect. And considering all that Tara did, certainly for women's wrestling, both in the WWE and in Impact, it was very fitting. So congratulations to her.
So here's the question. This is kind of started off our off show question, which went into a whole another direction. However, the question is, who would you like fangirl or fanboy out if you were to ever meet them in real life? Like, who would be the person where it's like you wouldn't be able to talk, or you would scream, or like, who would be that person?
In pro wrestling specifically?
I'd say in general, but if it's somebody that's a pro wrestler, yeah, sure.
Well, if they were still alive, I would definitely say Michael Jackson.
Okay.
Come on.
Yeah. I mean, just the sheer now, I wouldn't faint like most of the folks did at his concerts.
Just collapse.
But I would have to legitimately think about what I'm going to say, because I try not to fan out when I meet folks of that nature. But that'd be one of those moments where I'd just be like, whoa, okay, this is pretty serious.
Okay.
I think at this point, G, the closest you can get is to meeting the wrestler Santana Jackson. And we're going to get your reaction off of that to see if, he can me and Walker figure that out. Me, man, well, I've already done it. And that was Kanye West. I met Kanye West when I was still a follower of Yeezus. However, I am now a atheist, so I don't follow Yeezus. But at the time when I believed in Yeezus.
Where were you when you met him?
I met him backstage at the Glow in the Dark tour. So this was like 2007, 08, I believe. And I was just like, oh my God, you're the best. And technically speaking, actually, no, I lied. That's like, no, I'm getting a little vintage. I met him. We have something in Richmond, Virginia, 2 Up, 2 Down, home of Mickie James, where we used to have this event called the Freedom Classic during MLK weekend between Virginia State and Virginia Union, 2 HBCUs about 30 miles from each other, Richmond and Petersburg.
That's my alma mater, by the way.
Virginia State?
Virginia Union.
I had no idea. Panthers.
Yes.
Let me find out who was running the same hood. Okay, we'll get into that later. But yeah, so the Freedom Classic, and one year they had this big Rockefeller weekend, in which it was a bunch of Rockefeller acts, including Young Guns, Young Steph, and some new guy named Kanye West. And I was a big fan of the Freshman Adjustment mixtape, so I got to meet Ye when he was dropping through the wire. And I was like, yo, man, you're going to be the hottest rapper ever. Because this is still, thug rap. We still, here comes Ye. So I was like, you're going to be the best guy ever. He was like, yeah, thanks, man. I thought it was pretty cool. So, yeah. And then I met him a third time after the Yeezus tour, and now whatever. But anyway, who cares about that? But wrestling-wise, it would definitely be Booker T. Booker T is my guy. That's my guy. So that's my guy.
Yeah, but Booker what would you do? Would you just stop talking? I feel like you wouldn't.
Oh, Booker T? Oh, yeah. I would show him my spin-a-rooney.
You probably would.
Like, Booker,
I don't doubt that.
Look what I can do.
I don't doubt.
And I'll just show him my spin-a-rooney.
I'm guessing when you get nervous, you probably talk faster instead of not talking at all.
Oh, it would just be like Twista the rapper rapping. It will look like a cat is on a keyboard just hitting buttons, just unintelligible gibberish, like when your closed caption has no idea what's happening. It'll be one of them. It'll be one of them situations. Yeah. So Booker T, what's gonna happen. I'm just gonna spin a Rooney right there.
But it's so possible to meet him though. That's why it's just so so doable. Like that's doable.
Yeah. Well, he's gonna be here for WrestleMania, so I'm practicing my breakdancing now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
Ooh, and to go back to Tara and Victoria, Tara, which I thought was a dope moment with her hitting the Widow's Peak, which is still like one of the top 10, top 5 finishers ever. It was very dope to see that. So she's returning. Will this be do y'all think this will be like a one-off, or she's kind of hanging around Mickie James a little, just kind of in the cut? Could we see a possible Tara and Mickie James match? I know Masha Slamovich is the number 1 contender, but she's kind of lurking around a little bit. You know what I mean? She's a little too close to that title. Yeah.
It's hard to say, it's hard to say these days because, and we've talked about this before with other folks, kind of when you dip your toe back in the pool, the question is, are you satisfied with just one quick dip and you're out, or do you need to fully jump in? So I'm not sure. It's hard to say. And certainly in the world of Impact, given their women's division, that's something you'd really have to think about because they can go.
Yeah, and speaking of being out, we were just reading about this today. It was about Tasha Steelz on Wednesday's show as one of the possible dream opponents for Mickie James, but that might not be happening. Remember, Tasha Steelz actually defeated Mickie James to win her first ever Impact Women's World Championship, and it looks like she could be up out of here, possibly NXT bound. She had a tweet last night following Impact where she spoke about how her teaming with Savannah Evans ain't working anymore. Like, this isn't working. She spoke about that, and then she posted this tweet to the next chapter in which NXT
settles down and
it's
I feel
all
more
capitalized.
comfortable. Yeah, maybe I'll come back, but as of tonight, I'm done. I'm gonna get out. And if it settles down and I feel more comfortable, maybe I'll come back. But as of tonight, I'm done. I'm going to get.
That's an interesting hashtag right there. Tasha Steelz possibly NXT bound. Something we didn't see coming, possibly making a debut in the Women's Royal Rumble on Saturday.
That would be, I don't know what the word, anything's possible, but I think she would definitely shake up the women's division. Like, she's a different, talking about people who like just the gift of gab and say things that are on your it's kind of like, I don't even know if I should say this. It's kind of like she's like a female version of Kane. Like, she's just so good.
That's why I like her so much, I think. Oh my gosh.
She's just so good at at her ad libs. Like, even when she was announcing one time for Impact, like when she was on Creep Squad, like, she's just so good with her ad libs that, like, I feel like given the chance, because we don't really know what's happening now with Vince kind of sort of floating around and everywhere. Given the chance, I think she would make a great, like, she'd be amazing on NXT.
Yeah, all of this is very, very interesting. There's a part of me that laughs because we talked about this on Wednesday about how easy it is to troll Kane these days on the socials. For me, there's a couple of things to consider. Thing number one is what she tweeted fell on the heels of something she in an interview on Impact last night. So there's that. B, that was taped in Atlanta 2 weeks ago. So, we kind of had this same thought when a couple of months ago, when I can't remember his name now, it's going to come back to me very quickly, but he tweeted thank you. And he left his ninja gear on a photo, and he was in WWE.
Oh,
his name is leaving me.
And Akira Tozawa.
Thank you, Akira Tozawa. And everybody went to the whole space. Oh, wow, he's out. He's leaving WWE. He's on his way to New Japan. And what he did was he was getting rid of the ninja gear and the ninja gimmick, going back to being Akira Tozawa, and he showed up on our TVs in WWE the next week. So I just think that before again, history being what it is, and remember, it was just a couple of months ago where she went public, where she was a free agent, and she said she entertained offers from everywhere else, but she signed a multi-year deal with Impact. So I don't know how quickly one can get out of a deal you just signed. And because this was recorded 2 weeks ago, because this tweet was in line with what she said on her Impact programming, I'm not exactly sure that it means she's showing up in San Antonio tomorrow night. I think we need to wait and see where this goes and see what this means. What does it mean that none of this is working for me? Does she need to, change some things over in Impact? Does she need to leave Impact? Why would she leave a company that she just re-signed with?
Right.
When she had the opportunity to go.
Yeah, her contract was set to expire in April of 2023. Her contract was set to expire in April 2023. Was the reported top of the year. She signed the new deal. However, the hashtag just threw me off. I saw the hashtag and I was like, man, what a very, why would you do that if there's no actual payoff with that? Why would you AEW Britt Baker CEO wink us
talking? To get the people talking. Exactly. Just like they talked in AEW about Mercedes Moné. Oh, wow. She said CEO. Oh, she said the boss. And we still haven't seen her. We still haven't seen Mercedes.
I'm a big fan of Tasha Steelz. So when I saw this, I got very excited. I am too. Remember, Tasha Steelz and the then Christian Casanova, now Carmelo Hayes, were Culture Season during their indie days. So there is a connection for Tasha Steelz awaiting her in NXT, teaming her with Carmelo and teaming her with Trick Williams. Oh my gosh, that is quite Black excellence on Tuesday nights.
I don't know that tweet took us all the way there though.
Right, and then we also
fantasy booking,
right? Fantasy booking. Like I feel like she would be a good. She would do well there. But that's given the fact that's there's so many possibilities. So we've seen it even under Triple H's regime. Like you get signed, but you don't know it's just kind of like you're in college sports, you're the star, then you get signed unless you're in the number 1 draft pick. After that, it really just depends on the team. It depends on who it depends on so many different factors. Right. And it's kind of like, why would you leave somewhere like Impact where they allow women to be creative, where they, you can do different things, and you have plenty of different women like Mickie James and Tower coming in and stuff like that. Why would you leave something where you're happy about it and you could be creative to something that is bigger for the chance to be that person?
Mm-hmm.
Faith, Limp Bizkit, George Michael, you gotta have faith. Biggie Smalls, gotta have faith. So we're gonna see what goes down. The hashtag threw me off, but we're gonna see in about 26 hours, as the professor said earlier, for WWE Royal Rumble in the Women's Royal Rumble. Because remember last year, they pretty much announced all the participants for the Women's Royal Rumble. This year's been a little murky. We don't know who's really gonna be in there on both sides. So I expect a lot of surprises that's gonna happen. And who knows how the crowd reacts to Tasha Steelz if she debuts. I think, the smart wrestling fans will be aware, and we're gonna see. Casey says, "I don't think her name is big enough to debut her in the Royal Rumble. I have a lot of people recognize her." In the words of the great Aubrey, we gonna see, Casey.
It's interesting. I mean, she was the number 10 wrestler for all of 2022 on the PWI Women's 150. So she certainly has name recognition. The question is
in the wrestling universe,
right?
In the WWE universe.
This is the same conversation we had on Wednesday about Jay White. Like, is it that kind of an impact where the people would know? And I'm not sure. And again, the question also goes, what's the splash that WWE is looking for with this Rumble? There's obviously a lot of slots that are still left open. One of the fun things that we love to do when it comes to Royal Rumble is think about who will the surprises be. And because there are so many things left open, it leaves it wide open for us. We could end up like we did last year with absolutely no surprises and getting to number 30 and being just highly upset because these people didn't come through the door. I don't know. They've been kind of hush-hush about potential surprises, which I like because that lets it be an actual surprise. So obviously we'll find out tomorrow. Here's the thing. We talk about, does Tasha Steelz have the name recognition? The real question will be, if they're going to do surprises in the Women's Rumble, do they lean to the surprise factor being former superstars or alumni, or do they lean it to, okay, new people entering in? Because they still have the NXT pool to pull from. They still have alumni to pull from. So, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity and options. The question is going to be, which one they're actually going for.
Do you guys think Tasha Steelz' new NXT name will be like Sasha Banks Vault? Because that's still a bank vault is still, so they need to make her Sasha Banks. I deserve that. I deserve that.
You earned that. You earned that.
I deserve that. I didn't have the medal for that one.
I think Trinity will come back as number 30. I mean, look.
Feel the glow.
I have an opinion, but I'll share it after y'all are done with that.
What's your opinion? Before I put that in the box.
My opinion is this. If they are going to bring Trinity/Naomi back, if she's going to come back, the only acceptable way for her to come back is to come back and win the Royal
Rumble. Correct.
We don't need, and this is why I say this. They have at this point relegated Naomi at the Royal Rumble to being the female Kofi Kingston, where she's just a highlight reel. How do you avoid being eliminated? If you remember, she had a previous comeback at a Royal Rumble a few years ago. I believe it was the Arizona Royal Rumble where she had that comeback. And it was
gone for like 6 months or something crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
And she came back, had an amazing look. People went crazy. Somebody said if she comes back, I think it's JD, if she comes back, she's not winning it. Here's why I can't guarantee that. Number one, for as long as Naomi has been out and for as much as she has done, I'm not negotiating for her, so I can't say. But if she sees what Mercedes was able to do, I don't know that she's going in demanding Mercedes numbers, but I'm sure she's going to be able to demand and receive more than what she got when she was away. The second reason why I think it's highly plausible that if she returns, she wins is, remember, this is not like what we have on the men's side where there's pretty much only one championship. There are 2 potential championships that she could challenge for. She could challenge for the Raw Women's title. She could challenge for the SmackDown Women's title. Either match is a match we want to see at WrestleMania. We would live Bianca and Naomi at WrestleMania. Are you kidding me? Or Charlotte and Naomi at WrestleMania to have the big rematch of what I believe was Naomi's greatest singles match of her career when she had that big singles match with Charlotte on a SmackDown before the end of one of those years. So I think either of those are really, really plausible. And I know a lot of people are talking about Rhea. I don't know that Rhea is a lock for this if you have a Naomi coming back, if you have an Asuka returning. There are enough other factors that are in here that make this not open and shut.
Right. My thing is, and again, I'm not obviously not booking for Naomi. However, if you have been out that long and clearly living your best life, she just dropped a couple of pictures from like a modeling shoot or something the other day. Clearly living your best life. If you are coming back and you're holding out for like a moment, I feel like that moment, and also let's be honest, she's getting older. Not to say that she can't go, but like there's compared to somebody coming in on NXT and the new recruits and stuff like that. Like, let's be honest, they're not necessarily giving women as many opportunities. So she might have, and now on top of that, they haven't given her that many opportunities. So she has like one more go around to actually be champion. So if she were to come back, it would have to be, she would have to win the Rumble and she would have to win. Like she would have to be champion going to WrestleMania. If I were her and if I were her agent, or that's the only possible thing. Then, or else, why come back?
Right.
Like save it for SummerSlam. So, like if it's not okay, I win the Rumble and now I'm going to WrestleMania and I also win that, then there's no point coming back.
I agree totally.
Well, speaking of possibly Naomi winning the Royal Rumble, let's get into these Royal Rumble predictions, though. We are about 26 hours away from the 2023 Royal Rumble, and This is one of the most exciting ones in a while because we spoke about it earlier. It's kind of clear, but not that clear. We don't know everybody's in there on the men's side and the women's side. We're going to start with the women's side first, just continue with that. I know we got some people think Naomi's going to win. I feel like it's really a toss-up. We haven't had any type of clear indication on who's going to be that potential favorite. I know everyone's saying Rhea because of her, situation with Judgment Day. I could totally see a spot with Dominic Mysterio happening in there for him to save Mommy and to sacrifice himself. But overall, who do you guys think will win? If not a one, give me like your top 3 favorites. Because I believe Rhea, Becky, Bayley.
Rhea, Becky, Bayley. Rhea, Becky, Bayley. I mean, I like those 3. If Naomi does, I mean, let's be clear. This is barring that Naomi doesn't show up. If she does show up, then it's all Naomi for me.
Correct.
Just personally. I don't know. Like Rhea is such a conundrum that I feel like she's positioning herself to be what China used to be.
Yes, totally.
Where there's like some crossover there. And I feel like she's in a position where it doesn't really matter if she were to win the Rumble. I would say between Becky and Bayley, I would go Bayley because she's not just come back, but she's on the midst of coming back, and given everything that she's doing now, why not be? Because we've just her character alone, like definitely championship worthy, and then I feel like that will extend that storyline until SummerSlam.
Yeah, because there's history there with all 3 of those winners and the 2 current Raw SmackDown champions. They each have history with Bianca or with Charlotte. So I know it's kind of like the same old trope and whatnot, but I think with Bayley, given her injury that stopped her right in the middle of the feud with Bianca a year ago, I know they kind of sort of rehashed it, reopened it, but even then, that wasn't what it was supposed to be because Becky got injured at SummerSlam, so with her shoulder. Right. So that really didn't cook like it was supposed to neither. So that's why I'm kind of leaning towards Bayley winning it. Damage Control has titles. She's the leader of Damage Control, but she ain't got nothing. Why are you telling people about marriage and you're not even married? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you telling people about titles, how to keep titles when you ain't got one around your waist? You know what I mean? So I think this is where she proves herself and wins the Royal Rumble to go to WrestleMania, and I think she'll pick. I feel like it's leaning towards a Charlotte thing because Charlotte's the face at the moment, which is weird. I'm like, what's up with that? But yeah, but I think they're saving Sasha. If Naomi returns, then if Naomi returns and doesn't win, we can see Naomi Bianca, which is the money match that we thought we were going to get anyway before Sasha and Naomi walked out. That was allegedly going to be Hell in a Cell, and Naomi was going to lose as champion, as one half of the tag team champions. But I think now, like, the settings are kind of right, and maybe Naomi comes back as a heel.
I would actually love to see, and we'll after maybe Mr. Professor, if they have something to say after that. I would love to see when and if Naomi comes back, that we feel the glow is now in the box, like. It's going to be, look, you bitches, I don't know what you guys thought, but I have some time to think. And it's time for me to really, like, put you all in your place because you guys don't be knowing.
Yeah, I mean, Naomi wanted us to feel the glow. She tried to give us the glow forever, but that electric bill got to be really expensive from all that glowing. Them neon lights, they run a lot of electricity. So maybe she wants to save some money. Bills. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at Tesla. Get mad at Einstein. They created electricity. It's get expensive.
Tesla and Einstein. Wow. Yeah. I am very much a fan of. Obviously, we've stated the claim for Naomi. I think Casey was the one that says that he can only see Rhea winning this. I want to help your vision on this, my friend, and tell you this. I also am on the Bayley train. And here's why I'm on the Bayley train. If there is no Naomi for this, Bayley has not had a WrestleMania moment. Bayley just celebrated 10 years in the WWE. For someone who has been as faithful, as loyal, as consistent, who has had so many amazing matches, who has really not just put other people over, but has gone through her own evolution from the hugger to, you know, the role model to damage control. She has been the steady Eddie. She led us through so much of the pandemic. She was just that person who really proved to be, when everybody else went on and took breaks and did all these other things, Bayley was the one holding it down. Bayley is also the one of the 4 horsewomen who, again, has not had a WrestleMania moment. WrestleMania is in LA, in California, her home state. If you're gonna give her a moment, now is the moment. On the biggest stage you have, it is the way to go. Here's the thing. Rhea doesn't need it because, much like TK said, Rhea stood toe-to-toe with Solo Sikoa on Monday or whatever day that was, right? Like, so in our heads, if she can stand toe-to-toe with Solo, I mean, like, the way we've seen her, you know, doing all kinds of things, being the heavy for Judgment Day. You know, so it's almost like it's almost like she's living in a completely different division. And I liken this to, for those who may remember when Chyna was the women's champion, when she was the women's champion, it was almost like, who's going to beat you? I mean, you've already been the Intercontinental champion, you know, so now you're the women's champion. Who's going to beat you? And why would we watch? It was almost the reason why Andre the Giant was never the world champion, because he's Andre the Giant. Who's going to beat him? So I think we are at that space with Rhea Ripley. Will Rhea Ripley go in and be dominant? Likely. Absolutely. Yes. Will she win? Probably not. So yeah, for me, it's Bayley. Obviously, Becky can lay claim to it. Becky is a former winner. Whatever happens with Asuka will be very interesting. But I think right now, if it's not Naomi, I think Bayley's the leading contender right now. And to me, she goes in and actually, for real, finishes this whole thing either with Bianca or has that, again, 4 horsewomen match with Charlotte that I think would be game-changing. So for me, if it's not Naomi, it's going to be Bayley. And honestly, if Naomi shows up and it's still Bayley, I'm not 100% mad. But with that, again, if Naomi shows up, she's got to win. She just has to. But if it's not Naomi and she doesn't show up, Bayley for the win.
I agree, Casey, with the way Damage Control has been booked. I've been calling them Control Alt Delete because they should bail on it, in my opinion. But I think in the last couple of weeks, there's kind of been some things where, yeah, they're losing, but it's quote-unquote strong losses. We saw them take the angle of the cage match in which Bayley's like, you know what? I don't even want to fight you in a cage. I'm just going to beat your ass with my homies. Like, that is good book. That smells good. Like, that is good wrestling angles. Sorry, Bellas, it is. But I think that's going to lead to what we're seeing right now. And we can lean into more of that chickenish heel, which, to what I said earlier, exacerbates the point of, yeah, how can Bayley lead people who are champions? And I think Bayley does that look in the mirror situation where, you know what? I haven't been backing it up. You know what I mean? So now it's time for me to back it up and win the Royal Rumble. And I'm coming after you, Charlotte Flair.
Oh, JD. I mean,
pretty creative.
Look. I would tell you caps lock, YES, shift one. Yes, she does. Yes.
Wow.
All right, what's next?
Yeah.
What are you guys, non-binary code? You don't speak computer language?
So speaking of the Royal Rumble, one of the potential surprises could be someone we have not seen for quite some time, and that would be Dewdrop. formerly known as Piper Niven. So she recently did some press actually today, as much press is actually happening leading up into Royal Rumble. We've not seen her since September the 6th, when her and Nikki Ash actually went down to NXT to battle for the women's tag team championships. So here's the deal. Where has she been? Well, she acknowledged that she's been sick. She dealt with a health scare, dealing specifically with COVID, and it got so bad that based on some of the symptoms, they were concerned about her heart. And we know that, listen, they're not playing with heart situations. So they've done test after test after test after test. And she's in not just in good spirits, but she's in good shape. So it is possible she might be one of the surprise entries into the Rumble, but I think I'm more happy to hear that she has a clean bill of health. But that's where Piper Niven, aka Dewdrop, has been dealing with some very serious health issues.
Wow. Get well soon, Dewdrop. I mean, she's one of my personal favorites. I enjoyed her from her Viper days, which you can still watch for maybe a week or two on WWE Network on ICW before they get rid of all the independent content. Her matches with now Alba Fry, as Mandy Rose would say, but Alba Fire, who at the time was oh my gosh, thank you, Kaylee Ray, in ICW are violent. Very, very good and very, very violent. So hopefully with this, I never really liked the whole character of Dewdrop per se, being with red hair, Eva Marie's kind of lackey and whatnot, but I really like the stuff that she was doing with Nikki Ash, Nikki Cross, which they were a tag team in the indies back in the day as well, doing their thing. So I hope when she comes back as Piper Niven, like just kind of reset on it. We all know she's Piper Niven. You know, Dewdrop is tough to get over, but I think we got to see her work when she was in that program with Bianca Belair, when she was in the program with Becky Lynch. Like, we saw how busy she could get and how dominant force that she can be in the women's division. So get well soon, Dewdrop, and hopefully we see you at the Rumble once everything clears. Yes, yes. Do the Dewdrop. Dewdrop. Do the Dewdrop. So speaking of the Rumble, on the men's side, we're going to get some of these predictions knocked out. This will be very... Woo! I mean, Cody, Sammy, and Seth Rollins got to be like the leading three, yeah. Because it's getting murky. Because we just knew Cody was gonna win. We knew Cody was gonna win, right? And then he goes out, and then the Sammy thing gets insane. Seth Rollins, I mean, Sammy and Seth are just organically just insane with it. Sammy more than Seth, in my opinion.
At the moment, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
At the moment. So it's kind of like, do we call an audible and we put that rocket on Sammy's back?
TK?
Well, I mean, it's honestly, I guess we're just taking things out the box today. It really is just dependent on if there is going to be a Rock sighting. Like it's one of those things where, I mean, yes, he's the Rock, and I'm sure they can make some lame, very thinly veiled story for WrestleMania where he just shows up at WrestleMania. That's it. Like, he just shows up, he pisses people off, and like him and Roman go at it, unexpected, no storyline. It just is like, that's a possibility. But I feel like wrestling fans, I feel like this is probably the last time we're actually going to see, if we do, the last time we're actually going to see The Rock in the ring, actually doing ring stuff. I think it's come to a point now where he's just beyond that. It's just kind of like, why? You know, you might see some video appearances or whatever, but like to actually see him go in the ring, I think this is the moment. And I think as wrestling fans, we want to see a storyline built up to that. We want to see the hype. We know he's not going to be here for very long. We know he's not, if he were to win the championship, we know he's not going to carry it for the next couple. Like, we know all of that, but I feel like if he were to come back, he would have to come back with a storyline. Although, again, he's The Rock. He doesn't have to do that. But as a wrestling fan, I think he would be doing us a disservice. If he doesn't come back, and we've been talking about this for a year plus, and he doesn't show up, I think it would be really interesting if Sammy does, because then it's like, well, can this really can this man, this white man from Montreal dethrone is this possible? And if it is, I think this would be something that you would remember, because it's just like, wait, so you're trying to tell me Roman Reigns got this far to be dethroned by Sami Zayn? Like, you would be so just disappointed.
I mean, TK, if we want to have art imitating life, a random white guy showing up to a tribal land and colonizing it and beheading the king of the table, the head of the table, actually sounds like Hawaii. So, I mean, this can really, like in any other colonized land, in which we just kind of show up and just infiltrate and then take over and run everything. So it actually makes perfect sense for everything to happen. And then the OG who infiltrated, Paul Heyman's like, I don't trust that guy. I know. I know how we work, and I don't trust that Sami Zayn. So, all the seeds are kind of there for it to happen. But of course, there's the new interview that Sami just did with Ariel Helwani. Very, very great interview. And Sami speaks in depth of whether or not he can be the face of a company. And, does he feel like, yeah, he could be the face, but can I be champion? Or can I be champion? I'm not as big as Roman. And, does Triple H and Vince see it that way? So, it's one of those things that is good and bad. I won't say that. It's interesting because we literally, everything we thought we knew that was going to happen is not happening. And I feel like as a wrestling fan, I've gotten to the point where, you know what? I'm okay with Rock not being there. As one point, as excited as I was to see Rock Roman, I'm more excited to see, will Sami Zayn really dethrone Roman? Like, will this really happen? And will it happen?
When the Rock comes out.
And my theory is this. Oh, folks, we got to remember where the pay-per-view premium live event is taking place before WrestleMania. Elimination Chamber is in Montreal, the home of Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. Them is Montreal boys. Could we see some type of Eddie Guerrero, Brock Lesnar situation where Sami wins the Rumble and he challenges him at Elimination Chamber and wins one of the titles at Chamber, maybe? You know what I mean? And goes into WrestleMania, Zayn versus Owens for the championship instead of what we thought we were going to have for the tag team titles. This is just like all the scenarios. It's always sunny in Philadelphia meme where the man is pointing to the different scenarios. There's so many scenarios that can happen because I think that in the midst of this, we've kind of forgot that, Elimination Chamber is in Sami and Kevin Owens' native land. So that kind of adds a to it as well, I feel, G.
Yeah, so we've got a few things at work, which, to your point, I think we have to acknowledge this is what has made this season of WWE so special. The fact that for literally 2 years, we've all been building up to, we think it's going to be Rock and Roman, but we are literally at the point where we could see other scenarios happen, and we're equally okay. We're okay if this turns into Cody Roman, because that's been set up for almost a year. The idea that Cody comes back from AEW, the company that was the rival that he created, and he comes back at last year's WrestleMania, and we've seen his road. We could see Seth Rollins, and we wouldn't be mad at that because Seth has been in control of his matches with Roman, and Roman can't seem to get the one up on him. The Sami Zayn piece works because he's so over. And there are two things that people seem to forget that history can tell us. Number one, and last year showed us, as did Eddie Guerrero, but last year showed us that the Royal Rumble winner can actually challenge for a championship before WrestleMania. Remember, Brock Lesnar inserted himself into the title match at the Elimination Chamber to become the WWE champion. So there's that, right? Then there is this whole idea that there are multiple WrestleManias that have happened where the person that they penciled in to be the guy ends up not being the guy because the fan said something different. We've got Daniel Bryan in the Great March of 2014. We've got Kofi Kingston in the Great March of 2019. I think we have multiple scenarios that are happening here where this could go a lot of ways. And as open and shut as it may be for a Rumble winner to be Cody or whomever, remember, there are multiple ways to get to WrestleMania. And I don't think it's going to be as cut and dry as whoever wins the Rumble, which is to say we could actually have an upset at the Rumble where Cody doesn't win. We could have Sammy win. Because think about this. We don't know what the test is that Roman's giving Sammy on Saturday. There is a test. Is the test go in at number 1 and win the Rumble? Then I'll know that you. So which would we want to see? Would we want to see Sammy, given what we just saw Monday night at his tribal hearing, would we want to see Sammy go from number 1 to the end just to still be part of the bloodline, right? Or would we rather see Cody? Or would we rather see Seth? Or would we rather see someone who we haven't named yet? To me, because the possibilities are endless, that's what makes this fun to watch. That's what makes it exciting. We hated it last year when Brock lost the title and then he mysteriously showed up as number 30. We were just like, oh. When Ronda showed up as number 30, oh, God. You know what I mean? So hopefully we don't have those moments. And I really think that WWE remembers the backlash from last year's Royal Rumble and will do all they can to avoid it this year. All of that to say, it's going to be very interesting to watch tomorrow night.
It is, definitely. All right, well, time for
Edge Wrestling Facts. Yeah.
All right, let's run through as many of these as we can, as quickly as we can. I'm going to go very, very vintage. I'm going to go back well over 100 years on this one, guys.
Ooh.
1904. We've heard the name Frank Gotch before. Well, Frank Gotch beats a guy by the name of Tom Jenkins for the American Heavyweight Championship. Now, if that name Gotch sounds familiar, he's responsible for the Gotch pile driver and a few other things. 1904, that happens. Bringing us a little more current, in 1981. Now, this is always interesting to me because if you are a fan of WWE, you are familiar with Roddy Piper, and many will cite him. I heard somebody sent me a question the other day. Who are your top 4 people on the Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling to never have won the world title? Piper would probably be somewhere on that list. Yeah. And so what many don't remember is that on this day in 1981, he actually beat a guy named Ric Flair to become the NWA United States champion. And there were no, other things involved in that. Of course, everybody remembers the chain match with Greg Valentine where he won the U.S. title, but he won it actually before against Flair in 1981. Fast forward to 1992. When I saw this, I thought about our dear Ella, who is doing all sorts of great things at the Royal Rumble. And it made me realize that there are some people that never knew about a thing called Saturday night's main event.
It was so good.
That was such a special time. It would come on 11:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. It would actually replace Saturday Night Live, which was a big deal if you think about that. Well, on this day in 1992, the 30th episode of Saturday Night's main event was taped, and there were 2 really prominent things that happened here. So there was a main tag team match. The main event had The Undertaker and Ric Flair taking on Sid Justice and Hulk Hogan. During this match, Sid Justice would turn on Hulk Hogan, setting things up for WrestleMania 8. Meanwhile, The Undertaker, who everybody loves these days, he was the heelest of heels back then, but he ended up turning into a good guy that night when he stopped Jake the Snake Roberts from attacking the Macho Man's wife, Miss Elizabeth. That would lead to The Undertaker taking on Jake the Snake Roberts. All of these matches happened at WrestleMania 8, and I would be remiss if I did not mention that WrestleMania 8 was the infamous WrestleMania where WWE did not pull the trigger on Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair. Now that I had that out of my system, 1993 on this particular day, we lost one of the biggest legends of all time. Actually mentioned him earlier in the show. Andre the Giant passed on this day 30 years ago.
Man.
Yeah, 30 years ago. He was all of 46 years old. He was the first inductee in the WWE Hall of Fame. He was absolutely legendary, involved in the first 3 WrestleManias for sure. Actually, more than that. 4, 5, 6. Yeah, the first 6 WrestleManias in a significant way. Everybody remembers what he did at WrestleMania 3, but we lost him on this day in 1993. Now then to some Royal Rumble history that happened today. This day in 2008 was the Royal Rumble that happened in Madison Square Garden, where the number 30 entrant was a massive surprise, that being John Cena, who was scheduled to be out for a long, long time with an injury, came back, eliminated Triple H, and won the Royal Rumble. That was in 2008. 2013 Rumble happened on this day, ironically in Phoenix, Arizona. That's real interesting. And we mentioned The Rock. Well, this was where The Rock shows up to fight for the WWE title and defeats CM Punk to become WWE champion, ultimately leading us to Rock Cena for the WWE title, the rematch. Of course, speaking of CM Punk, this day in 2014, he would walk out on WWE before Raw was ever taped. Very interesting fact. And he hasn't been back. All right. Last but not least, I'll go here. And that is the Royal Rumble that happened in 2019. And that too was in Phoenix, Arizona, where this is interesting. I don't even know if we realize that this actually happened on the same day. But Becky Lynch won the Women's Royal Rumble and Seth Rollins won the Men's Royal Rumble. That actually has the possibility of happening again here in 2023. They both are leading candidates to win the Royal Rumble. But that's a look at your vintage wrestling facts for January the 27th.
Vintage wrestling facts. Yeah. That right. I mean, favorite part of the show. Always love these, going down memory lane. Andre the Giant, man, if you couldn't appreciate what he was, just like the enigma, the attraction of what he was. Go back and watch all of the old stuff, even pre-WWF stuff, if you could find that stuff. And just like the enormity of the Hulk Hogan body slam to Andre the Giant, and just how much like talk about doing business. You know what I mean? Andre the Giant understood everything what it was, and between the early days of him feuding with the Heenan family and then joining the Heenan family. I mean, you gotta understand, Andre the Giant was in the WWF. Like, he worked with Vince's dad.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that's why we have things like the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. He was the first inductee because he is one of the pillars of the WWF, WWF, WWE. So, may he rest in peace. But just talk about like a dominant individual.
As you were mentioning that, Kane, it reminded me, and this is going to circle back to one of TK's earlier questions. So I'm trying to remember the exact year, but it was, well, I won't mention the year because I don't remember it. But what I do know is, so we were at a youth convention in Stamford, Connecticut. It was a Friday night on Labor Day weekend. I remember this very clearly. And my brother and I were getting ready to go downstairs to meet my parents. They were down there for the event. So we're getting ready to go downstairs, and we hit the elevator, and the elevator opens up, and standing in the elevator is Andre the Giant.
Oh, wow.
No.
So, TK, that moment you mentioned, we stood there like this. The door went like this. We were like, he looked at us. We were like this. And the door went like this. And we were like, oh, my God. We just saw Andre the Giant. We could not. No, there were literally no words. Literally, he filled the elevator. We couldn't have got on there if we wanted to, because we would have been like this the whole time. But I promise you, it was the real moment in my life where I was just like, oh my God, like that really happened. And that just reminded me of that as a kid. That was the craziest moment. And I was literally speechless. So
I would have tried to fight him so he could put his hand over my face.
That is not. Do you understand how big that man is?
Yeah.
There's no way.
That's ridiculous. No wow. Way. That's a dope story, G. That and like talk about Saturday night main event. I remember that last one. Was that the last one or the next to last one?
92. There might have been a couple of more.
Yeah. And then it went away.
That long hiatus.
And then
when they came back, it wasn't the same, like they tried, but it wasn't.
Because like we had Raw, SmackDown, like there were so many options available. It was a big deal because it was like wrestling on regular TV at 11 at night. So
and it was big time wrestling. Big time.
Yeah. It was. I mean, I think the last one had like the Ultimate Maniacs, Macho Man and Macho Man and Hulk Hogan was dope. Yeah. One of my favorite matches of all time, Shawn Michaels versus British Bulldog for the IC title. Yes. I think is on that last one right there. So that's a pretty good one. But all the Royal Rumble stuff, amazing. I was very upset when The Rock beat CM Punk. I'm sure CM Punk was even more upset. Because remember, Punk had the 400-day plus reign.
434 days, sure did.
You know, he was coming off of that where he won it as a face and end up turning heel while champion, which is something you never really saw at the time or since, really. So, shouts to Punk for that, man. And Royal Rumble, Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, potential winners for tomorrow. We shall see.
Indeed, we shall.
You think baby like Quinn will? That's the baby's name, right? Like the baby will run.
I thought it was something.
Rue.
Rue. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Rue. Yeah. I think Quinn's my homie's name. But baby Rue will run in. Mommy, I got you, and she like holds.
Oh boy.
Bailey's foot and tosses over.
I don't think Rue is old.
That baby's doing CrossFit. You know, Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch's baby does CrossFit.
Oh yeah. I have
flip a tire.
I have friends who like their kids start because they just bring the kids and the kids just chill in the gym. Next thing you know, kids like 5 just cleaning up weight.
Yeah. They're gonna have a toddler's Royal Rumble in which Becky and Seth's child wins. Wow. Can't wait to see it.
Wow.
Plug alert.
Nikki joined the chat. We have a lot of interviews to check out. So Gail Kim, Ruby Hardy, Masha Slamovich, Taya Valkyrie, Mickey James, all on YouTube. So definitely check that out. But I think that will wrap the things up. Is there any other stories you guys want to talk about? Oh, you want to do heel of the day?
Well, do Kane? Let's end on a good note.
Yeah, we'll end on a good note. Yeah. The heel of the day was going to be that psycho lady who tried to enroll in school in New Jersey, who was like 29 years old. It's going to be her. And like never been kissed vibes. And it's like, you're 29. You went to the wrong school. Enroll in Chase U. Duh. Go to Chase U. Not no high school. Just go to Chase U.
Where should everybody follow you, Kane?
Follow me, unfortunately, at Kane McCoy. Tomorrow, as TK is going to plug, but I'm jumping her, we're going to have a Royal Rumble post-media talk scrum stuff. I forgot the proper name of it. After show. There we go.
I was like, media stuff. Something you need to tell me?
If you plug it, you got to kill it, right?
Yeah. Ooh, and definitely did I kill that. Yeah, I did that.
Well.
All right. And Mr. Professor, where can everybody find you?
You can find me, of course, at Bonafide on all of the socials. All things Southern Honor Wrestling you can find on IWTV. You can find all things Battle Slam on Fight TV. All things Championship District Wrestling on YouTube, and the latest Student Showcase 8 for the Nightmare Factory is up, and kind of has an insane number of views right now. I'm just kind of like, what's really happening? It did like 6,500 in the first day, which I'm just like, what's really going on here? So doing commentary for that, so you can definitely go and check that out. Literally the future of this business happening there at the Nightmare Factory. Again, check out everything at Bonafide and ProWrestlingTees.com/Bonafide for merch.
And definitely you can check out WWT Live Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern. Also check out all our after shows. We have our I was literally about to say AfterBuzz. Wow. We have our AEW SmackDown after show this evening. We also have a plethora of shows. We have a Raw show. We have a WoW show. We have Women's Wrestling Army show. We have so many shows, so be sure to check that out. Definitely go and check out some of our older episodes. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching Women's Wrestling Talk. My name is TK Trinidad. I've missed that all up, but my name is TK Trinidad. Thank you for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling show on the planet. Ciao, y'all.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling show on the planet.